blowing twists in just minutes. Our movie begins with Nora and her father, Tobias, climbing a high mountain until they reach its peak. Her father tells her a mythical story about giants or trolls of the earth. Nora has heard the story so many times that she memorized it and now tells it to him. The story is about a wedding that took place long ago for the trolls of the earth. 13 trolls got so drunk that they lost track of time, and when the sun rose, they turned to stone, forming the mountains before them. Nora doesn't believe the story until her father asks her to focus on the mountains with her heart before her eyes and believe in their existence. At that moment, she begins to discern the faces of the giants and starts to believe in the mythical tale. 20 years later, Nora grows up to become a paleontologist specializing in dinosaur fossils along the Atlantic coast. However, the university funding her excavation decides to stop the funding due to 6 months passing without any fossils or positive results. By chance, Nora discovers a dinosaur skeleton buried in the ground and calls her team to assist with the excavation. Meanwhile, in another area, construction work is underway to build new railway tunnels through the mountains. Protests arise to stop the destruction of the mountain and save nature. During the explosions, every tunnel the engineers build collapses on them due to a mistake in the detonation site. The incident is hidden from the media, and the event is filmed using military aircraft. Strange footprints are found around the mountain, as if they were giant tracks. Since no one can explain what happened, Nora and a group of geologists are immediately summoned to analyze the tracks. The explanation given is that the mountain explosions caused the soil to shift and the surface to collapse, creating these marks. However, Nora insists that the tracks are clearly footprints. Everyone laughs at her, especially the geology professor, dismissing her claims as nonsense and myths. This changes when a protester manages to film the explosion, and in the footage, a giant troll appears, causing the collapse. Nora's theory becomes the closest to reality. The Prime Minister appoints her as a scientific advisor to study the phenomenon. Nora, along with Andreas, the Prime Minister's office advisor, goes to the nearest site where unusual activity has been reported in the mountains. A house has been uprooted with ease, and the perpetrator is unknown. At the site, they meet Captain Chris from the Special Operations Command. The homeowners are questioned about what they saw, and they describe the sky being filled with clouds and a sudden shadow as if the mountain itself moved, destroying their house. They hid in the basement and only came out to find their house displaced and giant footprints around it. Nora takes a helicopter to follow the tracks, which suddenly disappear after 20 kilometers with no trace of the perpetrator and no signs of life in the area. She decides to seek help from her father, Tobias, to solve the mystery. Tobias, now elderly and living alone in isolation, has kept all the news related to the mountain trolls, as he is the only one who believes in their existence. He has even pinned a news article about the suspension of railway construction in the mountain for unknown reasons. Nora shows him the footage of the mountain's destruction and the giant troll that appeared. Tobias explains that trolls existed 1,000 years ago and that the culprit is a troll that emerged from the mountain. He claims they disappeared due to the spread of churches everywhere. Nora interrupts him, not understanding the connection between churches and the troll's disappearance, and asks him to speak rationally. She argues that if trolls existed, there would at least be nuclear residue in the mountains. Tobias insists they visit the site where the footprints disappeared. Nora is visibly at odds with her father, as he had previously been imprisoned and admitted to a mental institution for his obsessive research on trolls. Tobias notices something unusual about the site, as the terrain differs from the maps he has. While searching with Nora, they are shocked to find the mountain opening its eyes and moving. A colossal stone troll, over 40 meters tall, appears before them. They all rush to the helicopter to escape before the troll kills them. They film the troll to show the Prime Minister. At the Special Operations Command headquarters, Nora tries to explain the creature they saw in simple terms. Tobias, however, insists it is a real giant stone troll and that trolls are not just myths. He warns that they should have anticipated the consequences of digging into the mountain, as nature always retaliates when disrupted. Tobias's irrational claims are dismissed, and the military is tasked with eliminating the creature immediately. Nora tries to convince Chris to let them accompany the mission to observe from a distance without interfering or informing the Prime Minister, which could cause problems. Tobias reassures Chris, saying the troll will die before sunrise, as their mission will. At the designated site, weapons and tanks are prepared to confront the troll. They await its appearance, with orders to fire as soon as it is visible. Missiles and bullets are fired at the troll, but they have no effect. The troll begins destroying vehicles and tanks with ease, injuring a soldier and eating him in front of Nora. Everyone tries to flee the site, except Tobias, who calmly approaches the troll and attempts to communicate with it. The troll appears calm until a soldier shoots at it, enraging the troll. It strikes Tobias, throwing him far away. Nora rushes to her father to check on him, and he tells her she must believe and go to the palace or the king. He dies in front of her. Nora, confused by her father's words, returns to headquarters to think about what is happening, the reason for the troll's appearance, and how it can move in sunlight when sunlight should petrify it. She reads her father's notes, hoping to find a solution. Through drawings and mythical stories, she discovers that trolls dislike religion and the sound of church bells. She devises a plan to control the troll's path using these bells. The Prime Minister approves the plan, as no weapons have been effective against the troll. They aim to guide the troll along a specific route to prevent it from nearing the city and causing destruction. Meanwhile, the troll heads toward a family park on the city's outskirts, and aircraft attempt to use the bells against it. And indeed, he is influenced by their voice, and they try to destroy him, becoming the reason for the destruction of 3 planes out of 4. Before the plane crashes onto a child in the park, the troll catches it and saves the child from death, moving the plane's wreckage away from him. But Nora's plan fails as the troll continues its path toward the capital. And there is no available way to stop it. Nora tries to convince the Prime Minister that they need to study the troll thoroughly before taking any steps against it. However, the minister completely cuts off her assistance due to the failure of her plan, ordering her to leave the headquarters immediately. When Andreas sees the minister's behavior, he decides to resign from his position and leaves the place with Nora. The Prime Minister prepares to issue a statement about evacuating Norway's capital, as the troll is heading towards it, and their only option is to try using all weapons against it. Fearing for the citizens of the capital, they must leave their homes immediately before the troll approaches. The shooting and war against it begin. And Andreas and Nora are together, trying to escape the capital. Nora finds the name of a person nicknamed Sandung in her father's book, Tobias, who was also called the gatekeeper. He tells her that he knows someone named Sandung who works at the royal palace. At that moment, Nora understands her father's reference to the palace or the king, meaning the royal palace holds the solution to what is happening. They immediately head there to meet the person named Sandung. Sandung recognizes Nora upon seeing her because she resembles her father. He tells her that he expected her visit to understand what is happening and that what he is about to show her is known to very few people. He explains to them that the royal palace was built on the site of an ancient palace, but it wasn't a human palace, it was a place belonging to trolls. Tobias discovered this and had to be dismissed and labeled insane so no one would believe his words. He shows them a massive structure beneath the royal palace, explaining that long ago, a massacre of trolls occurred, killing them all, and the last one was imprisoned in the mountain. It could never escape because if it did, direct sunlight would turn it to stone. Nora realizes that the troll imprisoned in the mountain escaped and was able to move because the sky was filled with clouds, preventing direct sunlight from reaching it. This is why it can move during daylight. She discovers a way to stop the troll before the armed forces launch their strongest missile at it, which would destroy the entire city along with the troll. She immediately seeks Chris's help to execute her plan. And they turn to his colleague at headquarters to try and delay the missile launch by any means. She successfully disrupts the launch system in the planes by hacking into the system with her device. Nora manages to load a giant skull onto a vehicle to lure the troll to follow her, knowing that the skull belongs to its kin. However, she accidentally drives onto a curb, causing the skull to fall from the vehicle, and the troll grabs it. It becomes evident that the troll is saddened by the death of its kin and being the last of its kind. When the skull falls from its hand, it shatters on the ground. The troll looks at Nora's vehicle and decides to chase them to seek revenge for what happened to its kin. It continues destroying everything in its path as it runs, while Nora tries to stay away from it as much as possible. She reaches the location Chris was informed about to lure the troll there. Andreas's colleague maintains control over the aircraft system until a doctor at headquarters notices she is the only one doing something on her laptop. They forcibly take it from her and arrest her for disobeying orders, regaining control over the planes and preparing to launch the missile at the troll. Chris is in position, equipped with special lights resembling sunlight, to expose the troll to them. As soon as the troll approaches, all the lights are turned on, and its legs turn to stone. Nora's plan succeeds, but she feels guilty as it continues to suffer in front of her. Realizing she is killing it, she decides to turn off the main generator powering the lights, going underneath the troll's legs, as her father once did, and pleading with it to return to the mountains, assuring it she doesn't want to harm or hurt it. Before the plane launches the missile, they discover civilians in the area, prompting the general to order a halt to the missile launch. However, the doctor insists on firing to eliminate the troll at any cost, shouting until Andreas's colleague punches him to silence him. The missile launch order is stopped, and Nora tries to convince the troll to return to the mountain. Before she finishes speaking, the clouds part, and the sun rises. Sunlight reaches the troll, turning it to stone. It collapses in front of Nora, who watches as it turns to stone and dies before her. Just as her father always described. Nora's plan successfully stops the troll and saves an entire city from destruction. She considers naming the troll's petrified body Tobias's Rock. The Prime Minister personally thanks her for her brave actions in saving the entire city. Andreas asks her if there might be other trolls in the mountains. To which she responds with enthusiasm, indicating her intention to search for them and continue her father's research. A movement appears in the heart of the mountain where the explosion occurred. As if what happened was the beginning of the troll's return to Earth. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. If you did, make sure to subscribe for more awesome content. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch